Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Mongols and how you can play Mongols three different ways. The Dark Age Rush, which is really good for setting up an early position where you can attack from and harass your opponent. We're going to talk about Feudal Rush, which is a trade build where you play with a lot of archers and thus try to take out a lot of those civs that are really good at dealing with cavalry. And Dark Age Rush. And then the last build I'm going to be showing you is going to be the 2 town center, and I think that one is really, really spicy. It's a really good build to have for a lot of those maps and matchups where you can't do either Feudal Rush or Dark Age Rush. So it sort of saves you in that sense that you can get a really fast second TC and then play fast castle afterwards without really having to go out on the map ever in your game. Because you can play Pro Scouts, you can play Pastures, and so I'm going to try to show you a 2 town center Pro Scout FC build as well. So stick around for that. Let's get into it. The first build we're going to take a look at is going to be the Dark Age Rush. This is one that's imperative for any Mongol player to know and play. Because if you don't play this build, you're going to be struggling a lot of the times by playing fast feudal and being a little bit behind a lot of the other civs. It's a really good build because what it does is it allows you to gain a lot of tempo early that you can then build upon and get your trade, get your units, get your H up, get everything going from. So the position you gain from a successful tower rush is going to help you in pretty much any matchup where you are going to be not struggling against some sort of a bonus early, like villager short bows from the English, like Rus not having to gather gold, all of these things. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop the maneuver arrow. Then you're going to send 5 of your vills to a straggler tree like this and place the gur beside it. Then afterwards, you want to send 1 villager to the ovu. You want to build an ovu on the stone, and it doesn't really matter where you build it. The most important thing here when you start early is that you just get these villagers on the straggler tree and that you get the town center placed on a wood line. You always want to place this town center on a wood line because if you don't have wood under your town center, you're going to be screwed. And it's the most important resource for your town center to be on. Afterwards, send your sheep vills over here, and just have these vills on the straggler tree gather a full 150 wood. The vill that builds the ovu will be sort of idle for a bit, so you can just send them over, start gathering some food. They're not going to be done collecting a full round of food until they have to work again. So it's perfectly timed like that if you just get the beginning down. So you can see this villager here goes to check out the berries. Then, this Khan is going to check out the opponent. Are there gold in the front, in the back? Do they have wood in the front? These resources are your most important to tower, because it's the most annoying for them to deal with in the early feudal game. So now, these have been queued up to the woodline afterwards. I've queued up 3 of the vills here to go on the woodline, and 2 of them to go on the sheep. That's the way you want to split it. Your TC just rallies to sheep. And now when you have the wood here, for the full straggler tree, you build a barrack. So this is the position you're in, right? You're building a barracks. You're getting your food, and you're getting your wood for the tower. You're also getting wood for spearman production, but you don't want to gather more than the wood that you need for 3 spears, which is going to be 5 spears because of stone production, and then 100 for the tower. So it's 160 wood you need, which means you're going to gather 1 straggler tree, and then 10 more wood from another straggler tree with 1 vill. That's the way you macro that. So this guy here that builds the barrack, he will go back to the food after. And you can then use your gur if you have a high APM and you don't know what to do because Mongol's too easy. You can then use the gur to try to grab sheep like this. It's sort of like a mill that you can then collect sheep with if your Khan is in the front like this. So that's a really smart move to do as well. But it's not the most important one. What's most important is that 2 of your straggler tree wills from the first one goes to the sheep and 3 go to the wood. Then once the barracks is up and you have your first 80 stone, so pay attention to your stone down here. Your first 80 stone, then you click the double production of the spearman here. Then just make sure you're queuing vills and that you are gathering wood continuously. What you want to be doing in terms of getting a villager to the front, and you should have scouted the gold and wood by now, is to, with the 2 first spears, take a food vill with you so that you have that villager ready to produce, to build a tower early on. That's quite important. So bring the villager with the first batch of spearmen, then queue up another singular spearman, and then you want to queue up another double production of spearmen afterwards, so you have a total of 5 spears. A lot of people think they only need to double produce twice, but the problem is if your opponent opens up with spear production to defend with, then you won't have enough, and if you then send your vill back, you want to build a tower on your gold, but if you don't want to do that, then you want to use the wood, right, on spears instead. And you can't win a spear fight if you're only double producing. So always do that. And you might make the argument, oh, well, what if he's not doing that? Well, then you have 5 spears that you can put inside of your tower, and that's a lot better than 4. I found in my games that it's better to have 5 spears in the tower over 4 at any time. Then, when you attack, you can start attacking the mining camp here. Just get 1 damage point on it like this, right? Watch out you don't dive under the TCs like this. There's a little bit of a... Didn't quite look as much as I should have here. They're just trying not to lose spears and villagers under the TC. Here, build your tower so that it covers the wood line, so that it covers the gold, and then just play it out from there. Then after that, you should have gathered 160 wood, so you can see one of the straggler trees here was gathered. You should just continue rallying to food, and then you should rally to gold. So just go back in the video if you want to see when that happens, but you will see that re-macro happen about this time. And that's going to give you a really nice timing for your second town center. Not second town center, for your second age. You go to the feudal age, and then you follow up with Keshix and archers. You have to watch out with these TC ranges. Sometimes they can be a little bit deceptive. For example, this tower is not in range, but the range is like half to a whole tile longer. The good thing is if your opponent is using their vills inside of the TC to sort of shoot your tower down, that's a lot of idle time. So even if you lose your tower because of that, that's already a big advantage for you. Anyways, we're just rallying onto food right now. And then with that, we're going to go to the next age. So we speed it up a bit here. You can see that. And just at about 4 minutes and 10 seconds here, we're building our silver tree. We're going to build it with 5 villagers because we want to get up faster since we are delayed. Then we burn down this mining camp. We hop inside the tower afterwards. And we get our 50 resources. So that's really good. Then in the base, we're re-macroing. 5 on wood, 6 on food, 2 on gold. And then you can continue rallying to food. Because you want to regather food for your Keshix. You also want to get archer rangers out. So you still want to keep 5 on wood at that time. So here comes the stable. And we just continue to macro here. So we get 5 on gold, 5 on wood, 10 on food, rally another one to food. Then you can rally up to 7 on wood, or you can keep rallying food. Up to you what you want to do here. I would really advise not to double produce Keshix. You want to have singular Keshix, so that when your opponent is going to go spears, you can then double produce archers, as archers are a lot more effective. If this is happening, this is great. It doesn't really matter that you lose your tower, as long as you're getting villager kills or idle time for it. You're just trying to get a tempo advantage here early, so that your follow-up becomes stronger. Afterwards, place your silver tree. For this example, this trade posts are kind of bad, so I would probably not play silver tree in this situation. You can also play deer stones, but just watch out, you don't have the same scalability. And so if you want to play a longer game, and you're not looking to kill them immediately, then by not having traders, you're going to be in a position where, yeah, you might get out economied by somebody going to town center, which is a way to counter the Mongols, so just be aware of that. Now we're dropping our archer range, we're still making Keshix, and then we're going to double produce archers. Here comes a blacksmith. You can sort of postpone this blacksmith a little bit more if you want to. It depends on what you're trying to do, really. We've bunched up all this stone here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to double produce archers with all of the stone. That's really what it's about. You want to double produce the archers because it's what's going to help you catch up the most. If you're double producing Keshix, you'll just get counted quicker. You want to build the tri-comp very quickly. Then with these units, you can start raiding. You can get your upgrades. You can double produce your archers. You can even add in more spears, more Keshix if you want to. But really what you're trying to do here is play the hook strategy. The hook strategy is you have a couple of cavalry units. They're building a lot of spears. Every time you attack, their spears gets pulled forward because they want to deal with your Keshix. You then pull your Keshix back, and then you use your archers to take out the spears that were pulled forward to try to deal with your Keshix. So it's sort of like a move back and forth that way, where you're using your archers to the greatest effect. It's quite a good strategy to use against civs like Byzantines that like to go longbows and spears, or civs like, let's say, Malians that might have opened up archers into Donsos. There you can also use the hook strategy. That's a really good tactic in that situation. Right. So that's pretty much it, man. You've set up now, and then you're going to be absolutely fine. You just keep on producing, you keep on adding in traders, and then you're going to be absolutely fine playing out the feudal age, trying to hit a castle age at about 12 to 14 minutes. But again, it depends on what type of game you're in. If they're doing 2 town center, you might want to do a ram push at 11 minutes instead. It's up to you. The next build we're going to take a look at is going to be the Feudal Rush. This shares the same sort of macro opener that the 2 Town Center one does as well. So in those matchups where you count Dog Age Rush, you have the time in the beginning to choose, am I going to go 2 Town Center or am I going to play Fast Feudal into Aggression? And I really advise that you take a look at both of those builds so that you can make that choice dynamically in your game, depending on what you scout. Basically what you do is you're going to open up with 6 in food, then 2 in gold. You're still going to build that ovu. You're still going to gather a little bit of wood when you're waiting for the TC to set up. But once it's set up, you hop over onto sheep. That's really what you want to do here. This is just a min-maxing thing, so I get another, 30 wood here. And that's really nice. So here, drop off the wood. And then go on sheep. This guy over here goes back to food, and you start rallying onto the gold. With the Khan, you're then scouting forward. And so, a lot of the times with the Mongols, the macro can be different, but with these build orders, they're sort of the same all of the time. But the hardest thing about playing Mongols in general is macroing. And so, you have to understand how the different food sources and their incomes are. You have to understand, placing your TC, placing your buildings so that you don't get caught off guard by like a bad base layout or something like it. Those things are very, very important. Then rally onto food again after you've got the 2 in gold. I think here, yeah, I did re-rally, good. So 6-2 split, rest to food until you can age up. Here you can go with either Silver Tree or you can go with Deer Stones. As I explained before, it is a decision based on what type of game you want to play. So if you're trying to shut someone down early and you're trying to win the game as quick as possible, Deer Stones might be the correct choice. But if you want to play the longer game, which is safer, which is arguably the better way to play it, then what you want to do is you want to age up with the Silver Tree, like I do here. Because then you can build traders and you can eventually outscale your opponent. Yeah, so now we're going to build the Silver Tree. We're going to build it with 3 villagers. Then we're going to re-macro. And the re-macro is going to be 5 on food, 3 on wood, and then you rally on so you have 5 on wood, and then 2 on gold. Then there's going to happen another re-macro. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a quick stable while we're aging up to the feudal age. And then what we're going to do after that is get Keshiks out. So we need to macro first for the stable, then for the Keshiks. So now, we need the 150 wood. And then we want to pre-gather the gold and food we need. And then we want to re-macro onto food so we can get more Keshiks after. So once these have gathered 1 tree, they're going to build the stable. And then they're going to go to food again. Just like this. In a little moment here, I think I moved them. There we go. Right, so now you have 10 on food, 2 on gold. The age up villagers from the Silver Tree go to the gold. And then you rally onto wood once you have 11 on food again. So it's an 11-5 split. If you're curious about these numbers and how to get the best numbers for your macro, you can use something called the ARE4 production calculator. Just search it up on the internet. I can also link it in the description below, together with the build orders, and then you can take a look at those because they're quite good to understand if you play something like Mongols or any other civ in general. How many villas do you need on each resource to be able to constantly produce? Silver Tree goes to the opposite corner of the trade post, so that would be up here. The Keshiks are getting produced here at about 4:30. And now we're rallying onto wood again. We want to get up to 5 on wood here. Then we want to rally more to food and gold. Then you can rally more to wood after, depending on what type of unit comp you want to go for. So this one is really simple in terms of the complexity level of macroing and such. You're just macroing for a fast Keshik. After that, you're getting archers out. And this is a really good way to shut down a lot of these aggression attempts that you'll see from players playing English and archery, as you will be able to then defend with your archers and force spears out with your Keshiks. Then, as you see fit, you can add in more traders in the back, and that's going to be your ticket to eventually winning games where your opponents are going aggressive, as you will have slowly more economy, but it's not too big of an investment. Raid with your Keshiks, find damage, especially if your opponent's going aggressive. Having 1 Keshiks just finding damage in the back is one of the best ways to break out of a bad defensive position. So, archer range comes up. We're using all of our stones on archers again. So all the stone on archers, because that's the quickest way to build up more army. A lot of the times people will preemptively go spears against you or something to deal with your Keshiks. So use the hook strategy, the hook tactic, to have enemies start going spears and archers or whatnot. And then you have a massive archers to counter both their spears and archers. That's sort of the idea with that opening. So a few Keshiks, but just normal produce them. then you double produce archers for the rest of the time being. And you'll eventually have like a 4-to-1 split between archers and keshiks, or 3-to-1. Sort of depends on the situation again. It's a lot of the times. The case with the Mongols is you have to be really good at analyzing your opponent so that you know exactly what to go for, and so that you don't go for the wrong comps or too greedy on the trade or whatever. And sort of delay upgrades a bit. I'd say it's better to get trade going earlier, as it starts paying off earlier, than it is getting the upgrades. But again, it depends. Sometimes if you have to move a lot around on the map, you want to get wheelbarrow and textiles. You're going to go out for deers and such. So those are things to consider as well. Trade is being built. Try to get trades, 10 traders by like minute 12-ish. Then you should be absolutely fine to age up if you've taken a good fight. And that's really the essence of it. You want to take a good fight, for sure. If you start idling out on the sheep, go to the berries, go to the deer. Try to split your economy. 1/3 to berries, 1/3 to sheep, 1/3 to deers. And then you won't really have as much idle time. Just don't do them all at once, so that you have a fully idle food economy. Here I cancel an archer, I build a gur, and then I can start getting more food. So that's pretty much it for the feudal rush. So it depends on what you want to try to do here. But again, you can get a lot of units out quite quickly. As we can see, 9 minutes in, we have all these archers and keshiks. These are high quality units. The keshiks cost 200 resources per pop. So they're also quite strong in that sense. Yep, let's get on to the second town center. And so we've come to the last build order of this video. This plays on the same Dark Age opener that the Feudal Rush did, but this is a 2 town center Deerstone build. And it's really set in stone what you gotta do. You gotta secure food, you gotta get your second town center as well, and then you want to get to a fast age up. A lot of the times people don't really want to go for a ram rush against Mongols, but if you are facing feudal age aggression, just treat it like you would if you were playing against it with any other civ. So defend, then get up to the next stage. Get your advantage. You want to survive. Your win condition is essentially just survival. Don't lose too many vills. And then try to play for, well, the castle age. You're going to get more and more economy compared to your opponent. And so that's going to win you the game eventually, as you will have more resources to spend on units. And eventually your opponent won't be able to keep up. So they have a timer at about 11 minutes. If you survive beyond that, you should be able to defend pretty easily. So what you want to do is you want to pop your maneuver arrow. You want to send 5 villagers to food. And then one of them to build the oval. Then all of these go to food once the TC is up. Then you send 2 more to gold, right? So it's a 6-2 split. Similar to the one that we just did with the Feudal Rush. Khan goes forward. It'd be a good idea to check if your opponent's going to go for a spear opener or something. It's usually a good thing if they do, because if you have your resources safe, then you can just gather those like you would normally. Let's say you had the gold further out, you could just gather the gold with like a few more vills early on, so that if your gold gets denied, then you can go back to your food and already have the gold you need before they manage to get to your gold. So that's a really good way of doing the defense early by not having to spend resources on towers or other units. So just rally 6 to food, 2 to gold, gather all the gold you need, and then once you're done gathering gold, you send your vills over to the wood. Because what we want to do here is we want to get first a fast second town center, and then we want to get pro scouts. A lot of the times you don't have enough food to go castle age, and the berries just don't last enough. And investing into pastures is a lot of resources. You will eventually have to do it anyways, but pro scouts delay that a lot, so you're going to have a nice economy for a while if you go pro scouts. The problem with pro scouts is it's a big investment, and if your opponent's going all in against you, you can't really go pro scouts. So do this if your opponent's definitely going 2 town center or a fast age up. Then it's a lot of fun to play pro scouts. Because you will still have a competitive timing, as you won't have to go for something like pastures, which is essentially a farm transition. We're going to age up here at about 223. Right there. We're going to age up with 2 vills. 2 vills on the deer stones, 4 vills on the food, rest on wood. And then at about 450, you will be aged up and have all the wood you need for your second town center. Remember, you only need 800 resources. 800 wood is all you need for a second town center. You don't need to gather any stone, as you will get that stone naturally by your oval. Alright, so this is pretty easy from now on. The next 2 minutes, you're just going to be rallying onto wood. So this is a really, really simple build at this stage of the game. A lot of the times, people won't have units to harass you, And there's also nothing to harass as long as your TC is on the wood line, as you will have your food under your TC. Just remember to come back with these with the Khan in time so that you can actually drop off the food. Here I have 2 more bills from the early stages of the game where I sent 2 more. So you will usually run out of sheep at about 3:34 minutes. Just watch out for that. Here I don't because I have another 2. Alright, so we're almost aged up here. I'm just going to speed up the last 40 seconds here. As you can see, we are nearing 800 wood. And so now that we've clicked up, we're going to drop off all of our wood. And then we're going to build our second town center right beside our first one. Just build the second town center beside it. You're not going to secure resources with this. You're simply just going to have it up as fast as possible so that you can start producing villas. If you have a gold, let's say here, I would still not put it there. If your gold was here, yeah, then you could put your second town center there. But I would seriously advise just put your second town center besides the first one, as it makes base defense so much stronger and easier for you. Since you are a civilization that has no walls, this is quite important. So here, we just rally now for the Pro Scouts. This is the next part. At 5:30, we're up with our second town center. We have 8 villages on food. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to continuously rally onto the food until we can age up. But at the same time, we're also going to get Pro Scouts. So send 8 vills in gold, send 5 vills in wood again, and then get ready. Don't get any other upgrades. Just get ready to go Pro Scouts. That's the first thing you want to do. Don't get your stable first. Get your Pro Scouts going first because it takes 1 minute and 15 seconds. And that's a long time. So we want to get started as quickly as possible. At about 6:25, you're going to start queuing up this Pro Scouts. So you should hit that target. Then once you've queued it up, you get a stable. And then once you've got the stable, you double produce scouts. You want to get 4 scouts. So you can carry back sheep. The Pro Scouts have been queued up. And now what we're doing is we keep our vills in gold. We just keep on rallying onto food. Now we're going to gather the rest of the wood we need to get a stable. And that's going to come up here in about 7 minutes. Remove 2 vills here. And these will drop off the wood. Boom. Build the stable. Stable's up at 7 minutes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to double produce scouts. You want to double produce scouts twice. Just like this. With that one. 2 times double production. And what will happen is your scouts will be ready to start collecting deer the moment your Pro Scouts is ready as well. This should be doable in any spawn. If it's not doable for you and you hit it 15 seconds later, that's normal. You will have different spawns with Mongols, and your TC will sometimes cover gold, sometimes not. And so you might have to invest into defenses, units, whatever. Just the most important thing is that you get the concept of this build and why it works. Is that it's a competitive timing to the Castle Age. You can see we're almost there. We're still getting deers, and then we have a defensive base. If somebody's going to go and attack you early, with Feudal Age aggression, you make units, but all other cases, you just play fast age up. You'll be able to get up very, very quickly this way. Pay attention to the idols here on the food and put them over on the deer. If somebody's going fast castle aggression, I guess so you can still manage to get up quick enough to get archer ranges out and double produce crossbows. Deers are being dropped off. At about 9 minutes, we will age up with Step Redoubt. Don't age up with Cruelty, you need the gold. Step Redoubt is 100% the way to go when it comes to second town center, as you will have more villagers to benefit from it. So build the Step Redoubt with 8 food vills, then we macro onto wood, because now you need to get barracks and an archer range, and you need to get a prayer tent so that you can get relics. The relics are quite fun to get with the Mongols, because a lot of the times you can go around the map with your prayer tent packed up with the relics inside. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. Well, let's just macro up here to the Castle Age. We want to build an archer range now. Then afterwards you build a barracks, and then you build another archer range, another barracks, and a prayer tent. Because you want to have a lot of production. Your economy is very good at this point. You have 50 economy units at minute 10. Most people only have 36 vills if they're on one town center. So you're already 20 vills ahead. Then Step Redoubt goes up. You want to position your vills towards the Step Redoubt. I don't think I remember to do that here. You build the prayer tent. And then you can double produce shamans if it doesn't bug out for you. There's currently a bug with that. So here I can't, even though it's within influence. So you can see I try to redo it and it doesn't really work. So just build it normally in that case. Then you want to get superior mobility improved so that you get a really fast packing technology. And then you just double produce crossbows and singularly produce spearmen. Get your upgrades, your horticulture, get your wheelbarrow, get your mining upgrade. And then just rally wood, start making pastures. If you run out of deer, you have to do that a little bit quicker. But here you can see I have a ton of deer under my TC, so we're absolutely fine to go for a blacksmith, another archer range, another barrack. Shaman comes out. Take your prayer tent together with your shaman. You can even take your units if your opponent's gone fast castle, because they won't have enough. And then you can go put the relics inside of the prayer tent and then keep moving around the map like that. It's a very, very quick way for you to get all the relics, just like this, because you don't need to go back and forth all the time. So this is a good tactic when it comes to the relics. Then play defensive. Again, remember, you're not really in a hurry to kill your opponent. Your opponent is in a hurry to kill you. Position your stepper out like this. Get your villas to drop off, as you will get 50% more gold this way. Then start making pastures. Constantly produce. Don't float. Don't float ever. And then put the relics inside the prayer tent. You're going to be absolutely fine playing the Castle Age, especially if you get more than 2-3 relics. Then it's usually a pretty good win. Pretty good situation that'll lead to usually a win, unless you mess up and throw away your army or something. So don't attack if you know you can't. And if you don't know if you can, scout. Continue to take the deer with your scouts. Really good way for you to continue to have food for the Castle Age, and you don't have to rush your farms. Anyways, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. If you want to check out the builds, they are linked in the description as well, so you can follow along with the tabs. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them either on Discord or on this video's comment section. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.